causing, trying to keep you up, because the whole life, new life adjustment, your whole dietary intake will have to change, because yes, weight gain, and you have to be healthy as well. So you have to ensure that your diet and everything is under check, so that you don't skid over to another condition. Yeah.
Okay. And then, Miss Elpin, how did friends and family also take the news, and how were they also able to come together to support you?
With my initial, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my daddy that I'm going for surgery, I'm going through this. So when they got to know was when I was having the surgery. That was when I broke the news to them, and they all came to the hospital, and they were saying, "Hey, Ellie, so all along you couldn't even tell us this and that." I told them I didn't want to overburden anyone. I didn't want any. So after then, they all came in. Then, oh, Ellie, why don't we do this? Then they started supporting, encouragement, and they did what they could do.
Wow. And right now, how would you say your perspective on health has also changed?
Okay. Well, now, I know that for now I have to be exercising. Okay. Well, first, I don't exercise. So now I have to be exercising. Eat well. I shouldn't have to eat anything anyhow. Now, first, I don't even take more vegetables, but now, hey, I eat a lot of vegetables, and the fruits, the ones that I like, I also adjust and I take them. So for now, I'm managing myself healthily.
Okay. And Mrs. Helen, you stated that sometimes people go through depression, the anxiety, and a whole lot. So what role would you say mental health also play in the recovery process?
So mental health basically is your strength, and we have overlooked the strength of our mental health section of health by itself. But come to think of it, health itself is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being. So if the individual is physically well, but mentally unwell, then there's a problem. So I speak out all the time to the fact that they should ensure, our health system should ensure that they strengthen the mental wing appropriately. And the stigma about I'm going to see a psychologist is funny. People feel you're mad, excuse me to say. People feel you have an issue, that is why you're going to see a mental health. But ideally, every other person is supposed to see a mental health person at least once in a year, so that there are those things that you don't know are mental conditions that you're experiencing, but you are actually going through a mental process. So with such people, it is advised that at least 6 months to every year, they see the mental health practitioner, explain what they are going through, because the people around them are not equipped with that kind of knowledge to know what they are going through. And there are times, there are things she says, I'm like, no, so this woman is actually going through this form of anxiety. As she is now, she's unable to really discuss with a fellow woman that maybe I don't have a breast, or one breast is off or something, because the stigma alone that comes along with that statement puts them off. You get it? So we are advocating again that the mental health wing is able to talk to people, come out and speak to people, that if you have people like this around you, this and this is what you're supposed to do. Let's involve the family or the social circle around the individual, and it will boost or take away the anxiety and then the depression, because some of them, even though after the surgery is healthy, depression alone can take them away.
Wow. After all the fights?
Yes, depression alone can take them away. You see, it took her time to tell her family, and all the noise we hear about is the eventual death after the condition. So people feel it's a death sentence, but we have people who have gone beyond 10, 15, 20 years after cancer. So there is life after it. But you see, what happens to someone who have not delivered, who doesn't have a child and has gone through the mastectomy? What happens to that individual? So the person feels that this is the end of it for me, because I can't breastfeed. I may not even, my chances of getting a spouse is less. You get it? So it becomes a problem to the individual. Imagine a young woman without a breast, and then how do you even tell a man, I don't have a breast? You get it? It's
That would be very tough.
yes, it's going to be a Herculean task for you discussing it with. So getting the mental health team to come in and discuss with you and your family and your spouse and the prospective people who come around you, levels it up for you. Yeah.
Okay. So Miss Eliflin, so one of your breasts is not there at the moment.
Yes, please.
So right now you are wearing some of the prostheses.
Yes, please.
Okay. And this is quite, private, but curiosity, right? I don't know if you mind sharing with us. On a norm, when let's say you get into the shower and then you take off the prosthesis, remembering your before and after, how does it feel?
From the beginning, I wasn't feeling okay, but for now, I'm okay with it. When I'm in the house, I don't put it on, but when I'm going out, and you putting this thing on is a very hectic thing. At times, you have to adjust it for it to fit the other one that is not affected. You have to look at the kind of dress too that you put on so that it will not show. And the bra, it's not easy. It's better for you to have your normal breast because the prosthesis to have its own
challenge.
Yes, please.
And I hear it can't touch the skin. There has to be something there.
Yes, but I have covered it with this hair
net.
Okay. Yes. So with the covering, let me say it tears off. So if you don't protect it, it will get spots, and it's very expensive too. From 1,500
upwards.
Yes, please. It's very expensive.
For one or
for one,
a set.
Only one.
So if you are buying two, and let's say you are buying the 1,500, 3,000 for two.
Yes,
yes.
And it can get ruined.
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yes. So the sweat and the other things can ruin it.
It's not easy. For me, I'm having to. I have to adjust it with the other. Yes.
Because of the breast.
Yes. So I'm wearing two.
So they don't have it in sizes that you can buy, let's say one, but
it's in size, but the one that I have couldn't fit, so I have to look for another adjustment. I adjust it.
Wow. So what are some of the surprising challenges that survivors face?
Surprising. Please come again.
Surprising challenges.
Challenges. One, the stigma is one.
Okay.
We face a lot of. I think in my community, I'm a proprietor. So one day I was in the school and my boy came to tell me, "Mommy, this girl is saying she has some two girls passing by and they were saying because of my wickedness, they've cut off my breast." And I said, wow, look at this young children. When did they hear this from? The stigma is killing us. And even when people get to know, when you are passing by, they'll just be looking at you, pointing hands at you, and you going out dressed. As I said, you have to look at your self-worth, fit into what you are wearing before going out. So it's not easy. You've lost your breast, but it's a work on its own. It's a work on its own.
So it's all about your ideology as an individual and the support system that you can get.
And you also encouraging and supporting yourself. If you don't accept it, others will not accept you. So you have to accept it. So before others will also come in and support you.
Wow. And with people who are very tough on themselves, acceptance also becomes a problem.
They stick in the denial stage for a very long time, and it becomes a problem. So especially after diagnosis, and then they keep denying it, and then most of my religious people attach them. I rebuke it, I cast it. You get it? I'm not against any form of religion here, sorry, but this is what happens. So they stay in the denial for a long time. By the time they come to
the reality,
by the time they realize that this is the reality, then we'll have to take off the breast, because it might have gone too far for us to just take out a lump. You get it? Then it becomes an issue. So I plead with all the people around us that let's support them. Let's give them advice that get checked whilst we pray in the background. Get checked. get screened, get taken care of. Because people have lost their lives because of the fact that they didn't go to the health facility on time. By the time they will come, the cancer cells have gone to other vital parts of their human body, and we couldn't control it. So then the eventual death, even the pain they go through when the whole breast is sore, I should say, it's very painful, and it's a bad sight. So when it happens like that, it becomes pain to the individual, pain to the people around them. Because I can't watch my fellow woman go through pain. You get it? Then it becomes so unbearable to them. So we advise that let's support them. And if you see someone losing their hair during the chemo process or whatsoever, what if it's a hairstyle? What if that's the style I want to have? You know, we see people having their hair off and other things. So what if that's my hairstyle? That's how I want to look. Let's support them. It's not by anybody's wickedness. It can happen to the next person. In this year, I have known people in my neighborhood, 3 women, they all went to their graves. This is not to spread fear, but because of I'm going to this herbal home, I've been told to use this herb, I've been told to use clay, I've been told to use whatsoever. By the time they realized that Edina was saying we should go to the hospital, then there's nothing the hospital could do anymore. So they lost them. You get it? So I plead the support. I plead that government comes into it. The prosthetic is expensive. How many Ghanaians earn 10,500 in a year? How many Ghanaians? You get it? So if at that time they're unable to afford it, then it becomes so glaring in their face that this person doesn't have a breast. Imagine she lost both breasts and then she's using 4 of it. It means that she's paying about 6,000. How much do you earn? Her medications and other things. So as they are adding some cancers onto the NHIS, breast cancer is taking away our women. Let's add some part of breast cancer to it. Let's get NGOs getting into this whole thing, and let's support the women. It is not by their fault, by any fault of theirs that this happens. Just as all the other cancers came up, this is also happening like that. Get it? So we need the support for them, from the family, from the churches, from the individuals around them, from the society especially. And our women should support their women. We are queens. Let's help straighten the crowns on our fellow women rather than pull the crowns off. It's very important.
Very, very important. I don't know why, as and now, people are still so naive about things like this, especially the women. If the men are doing it, why must the women also, do it? Because I feel like if it should happen to you, you wouldn't have any other option than to, go with it. So why can't you, like you said, straighten someone else's crown when it has happened to them? But you stated something that I find very, very important. You said if you are not careful, it goes to the other vital part.
Yes.
Does it have a time frame, or a year, a month, or something?
So I said yes some weeks back that the time frame is not specific.
Okay.
So in Miss Viku, we didn't know when it transformed from just a lump and then it took over the whole breast. She didn't realize when the whole process was happening. Right. It's the same way we can't specify this being happening maybe in a month or 2, in a week. You don't know how far it's gone unless you're checked. You get it? So at a point you realize that it moves from the breast to the lung, to the chest wall, to the kidney, then to your spine. Like it's spreading all over, finding other places it could survive. Then whilst you're treating the breast, you're taking care of other places. It becomes too strong for the human body to actually fight.
Wow. And Miss Viku, let's talk about treatment after the whole process. Like you said, you are still on medication. How important is that?
As I said, I'm on a hormonal pills I take once daily.
Okay.
So now my review is every 4 months now. So when it's due, I go for it. Then the medication is being given to me to take within 4 months. Then the 4 months, another 4 months, I go for it. But for the one that I'm taking is on insurance. The tamoxifen is on insurance, so I'm not spending much on that one. But with the labs and other scans that whenever I'm going for review, I will do. That one is a bill that I take charge myself, but for the drug is on insurance. And I want to add this. You asked a question, how fast is spread?
Right.
As Nesena was saying, for my, I've been doing so. By the time then it became hard. It became hard, like like a cement, very hard as a.
So initially it was not hard.
No, and I wasn't feeling any pain. So I didn't know whether it was a week, whether it was a month. By the time I realized it has become hard
over the whole breast.
around my nipple, and it took time for me to accept to remove my breast, because if I didn't be and there's a Lily, I wouldn't remove my breast. She has to come and talk to me, advise me. If I don't take it off, it will spread to my lungs, my kidney and stuff. And if I don't take care, I will. So she has to convince me for me to accept it before going for the mastectomy. So you losing your breast too is not an easy thing. For you to accept it, it's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy at all.
So, Mrs. Helen, what is the worst that could have happened if she had not taken off the breast?
So the worst could be, just as she said, it will spread to
The other
vital body
Okay.
parts. So if it doesn't, you don't find it in the other breast, then it will spread to other vital body parts. So imagine the cancer in your lung, then they'll say you have cancer in your lungs. You will lose the lungs and you may not live.
Right.
In your kidney, in your spine, then it is spreading to other body parts. Then it will kill the individual eventually. So for you to lose the whole being, then we had rather take that body part that is causing the problem. Yes, then we try to manage it so that it doesn't recur. You get it? So it's advisable that you understand the fact that I'd rather save one body part, take it off, and save my whole being than keep it and then lose the whole being. And it is the losing of the body part that is the problem. Because for a woman to be without breast, it's an issue.
A very, very
It's a real issue, yes. For a woman to be without a breast is an issue. And then that is what is the problem now. That's what is causing the issue. So they would rather stay at places where they are told that, oh, Mayama in Tempara, it will go, it will heal.
No.
Don't mind the doctors, you're going to lose your breast. Then they end up there. Then you know the funny part, after they have done all those things, all the gimmicks, they bring them back to the hospital. Then the news is, when we sell them to the hospital, you lost here. Meanwhile, that was where we could have saved a life. Yes.
From the very beginning.
From the very
And since you
beginning.
mentioned recare, right? Miss Elikleen, how do you manage the fear of recurrence?
That it will
Yeah, okay.
okay again. Me, I don't think about that. I'm not thinking that it will come back again. Me, my hope is I'm well, I'm fit, I'm ready to do anything at any time. You have to take up that negativity out of your mind and be positive. Just be positive and add prayers and eat well, do your exercises, you'll be okay. But for the negativity there, it's out of my mind. That it will be okay again.
Right.
No.
And how did you manage the side effects?
But the side effect, it wasn't easy. The losing of my hair. Whenever I'm going to Kolebo, I have to put on wig. And I sweat a lot. So with the heat, it got wet. I said, oh, let me put this wig somewhere. So I have to be in, my hair have to, how do you say, this sakura, I have to baba everything down. So then when I'm going to Kolebo, I don't cover my hair. I just leave it like that. When I'm working, people will be looking at me. I can remember one day I was coming from Circle, I passed through Tiptoe Lane, and the way the guys there were looking at me, I wasn't even looking at them. I was just walking, going my way. It's not easy. It's not easy. You losing your hair, becoming dark, your fingernails. It's not easy. The pain alone, sleepless nights. At times, as if my head will just fall off from my neck. I don't sleep in the night. For the sleepless nights, I don't sleep. My whole body system is jammed up. The pain. And what causes the pain is whenever I inject my arm. For the injection is very painful. Whenever I inject my arm, that's when I can't even sleep. I can't do anything. But when I take the pills, I'm okay. But when the injection that's where the pain. It wasn't easy at all. And that is because of the pain. That's why a lot of us who don't want to go for the chemotherapy.
Yes.
A lot of women are hiding, don't want to go for the chemotherapy. They are going to do the herbal things because of the pain.
Why do you think people don't like the chemotherapy?
So you see in her case, she lost her hair, the pain. There are several side effects. So it happens that some lose their hair, they become depressed, they are so tired, the sexual drive goes off. It changes a lot of things in their system. And then with the shots, it's painful. Imagine you taking just normal immunization shots, how painful it is. And then they are putting like a whole dose of medication in there. The pain is huge. So the pain deters a lot of people. You see, she's saying it on TV, may deter someone from going to take it, but it's a sure way to coming out of the whole condition. So it's just the chemicals trying to fight the cancer cells. Is directed at the cancer cell. And the cancer cell has taken over your body's DNA. So we have to give it a stronger medication that will overcome the cancer cell. That is how it's that painful. But if you're able to overcome it, then you're good to going back to your normal life. Because after then, her hair is growing back. She's just back to her normal life. You get it? There are people who could go through it without the stress. It's almost 90% for everyone who goes through the chemo. So they will lose it. But how do you mitigate? How do you blend in? Fortunately for us in our time, there are wigs, there are things you can cover your hair with. You get, so you can equally do all those things. The pain, I can't feel it. I can only empathize and share. So we share in their pain that is painful, but you had rather go through that short period in that therapy and live rather than not go through it and then lose your life. It's sad, but you have to go through it.
You spoke about sexual intercourse too. So during that process, the doctors advise not to have any sexual intercourse?
It alters their sense. The medications alters their sense, the drive. It becomes dysfunctional in a way. So if your partner insists around that time, you may have those issues as well. The reason why we insist there's support, and then there's inclusion of all the people around you in the whole therapy, so that they understand what the individual is going through, and then it doesn't worsen the emotional imbalance for the individual.
And with the sexual, then you are on treatment. In case you become pregnant, are you going to pause the treatment? So the doctors will advise you during this session, we have to absent. If only you can protect, fine. But me during that time, I wasn't even having the drive. My mind wasn't there. I'm just praying to go through my treatment and be okay. And when I started, my menstrual pain, my menstruation stopped. As at now, it hasn't come back.
2 years.
Yes.
Yes.
My menstruation.
Right, to restore
But is it
time.
everybody?
No, so hers is hormonal.
Okay.
So now they are giving her hormonal pills that will actually fight the cancer cells or suppress the whole cancer cell in there. So it will restore with time. The body will get used to the medication, will restore with time. She'll get back to her normal self once again. But she just has to continue. And then at a point, the doctors will either reduce it or take her off it, because she has been told it's hormonal. So we have to work on the hormone so that it doesn't increase her risk again.
Okay. Unfortunately, our time is catching up with us, so we'd have to wrap up. Let's talk about counseling quickly before we wrap it all up. So you mentioned that some people don't even want to go to therapy because we also have our own misconceptions around therapy. But personally, Miss Viku, how did you take your whole counseling process? Or you handled everything personally, or there was a point where you had to visit a healthcare provider or professional for counseling and therapy sessions?
I handled it myself. But for the for the chemo, when I went, the doctor talked to me. This is what will happen. So for that one, the doctors did their part, and but the rest, I handled it myself.
And then you are fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice would you give to people watching us?
My advice to my women out there and my men out there. Now, cancer is not only for women. Men too are part. Please, please, let's take good care of ourselves. Whenever you find something in your breast that is not normal, please go to the nearest health post or wherever and go and check. Don't be in the house and be listening to, oh, why don't you go here? Why don't you do this? By the time you realize, it will turn to something else. So please, to my women and my men out there, let's take good care of ourselves. Early detection saves life. Thank you.
Okay. And my final question, would you say your personal life goals have changed after surviving cancer?
Yes. Yes, now I don't do things anyhow. I don't do things anyhow. When I'm doing, I know how to go this way and do this, do that. And I always say, I did it for my children. Because I have 2 children that are not grown. The first one is 10, the younger one is 4 years. So now when I'm doing this, I know how to go about things. I don't just get up and do things anyhow.
And are you living your best life now?
Oh, yes, yes.
I like that. So you are back in school, right?
Yes, please. Even from treatment, I go back to school.
You don't say.
Hey, from treatment, I go back to school.
Wow.
I do the cooking myself. So at times I'll be in the kitchen driving the banku whilst my arm is, because I don't want to be lying down and no. I want to be active and be doing something.
Miss
So
Buku, you're a strong woman. God bless you.
bless you.
Wow. Today, I'm so happy you brought Miss Buku because it's been a different, conversation and experience all together. And what advice would you also give to people watching us? Miss Helen?
So I would always say that breast cancer is not a death sentence. If someone tells you I have an issue with my breast, I would advise that you advise the person they visit the health facility. It's the best place to go. And then we'll counsel you as to how or what's next to do. Any other health condition, I advise that you go to the health facility. Regardless, you go and then whatever care there is to be given, you seek that help. And then if you have any issues, any health issues, you can contact me on my numbers on the screen, and then we'll see to it that we direct you to the appropriate health facility, and then care will be given to you.
Right. And since October is ending this week, is it that the breast screening, in the month of October, you have the opportunity to go and it's free and what have you? If October ends, does it end or it's still free?
Okay, from my end, it's free.
Okay.
It's free, but health facilities dedicate the month for the free screening so that we get an inclusive, all hands on board kind of thing. But we advise again that after the month, you screen for yourself so that when we meet, God willing, next year, October, the professionals will bring their hands on board and assist once again. But to know your breast for yourself, realize the changes fast, and walk in as soon as you realize any change. And then let's stop the stigma. It's very important.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
So unfortunately, today is going to be our last breast cancer session right here in the studio. So what will also be your last word, since today will be the last day we'll be seeing you, unless maybe you come here for another different health related, yes.
So health is wealth and wealth is health. I doubt Miss Viku had a lot of money saved for other things.
Right.
But when it happened, she had to gather money from everywhere to get healed or to get the treatment. So I advise that live well, eat well, sleep well, take care of yourself first before you go pulling any other things along. Because if you're unable to do it well, you won't be able to help the next person.
Right.
Health is wealth, basically.
Okay. Once again, thank you for joining us. Miss Viku, is there something else you would want to say?
Yes, please. I want to say this. Last week we went for a talk on this breast cancer issue, and the team that went to the secondary schools, and the findings that they had, secondary schools There were girls having lamp in their breast.
Yes.
And think one of the school, they got a male also having it. So my advice to parents is, dear parent, please start checking your young girls and your young boys. Don't leave them, because it's out there in all the secondary schools. Now, breast cancer doesn't know whether you are rich or poor. Doesn't know whether you are rich or poor. The risk factors are there. So please and please again, parents, let's monitor our girls. Let's do the self-examination for them. When you see something, please send them to the hospital. And I want to thank my auntie in Holland. She really supported me when I was going through my treatment. Marina Adupo, God bless you. My sister in London too, and all my loved ones. God richly bless you. And not forgetting my daddy. He always pray for me. My father, Isaac Viku. God bless you.
Okay, and we are grateful to all of you. So this is where we end today's segment of the well-being segment right here on the show. I hope you've been educated. Please, just my 2 cents, go and check your